Okay, so we know that there are so many different religions around the world that profess to be followers of Christ. But what is one thing that we as Jehovah's Witnesses do that sets us apart? Well, it's our preaching work, isn't it? Well, we know that that's in harmony with one of the last commissions that Jesus gave his followers while on earth. And we can find that commission at Matthew chapter 28, verse 19. Let's look at that. Matthew 28, verse 19. It says, "Go therefore and make disciples of people of all the nations." So this is basically us searching for and finding people who are honestly searching for Bible truths. Now, this requires on our part a missionary spirit. And whether we choose to express that missionary spirit here locally in our congregation, or serving in a foreign language congregation, or maybe even packing our bags and traveling to a different country, there's one question that remains. What does having a missionary spirit entail? Well, let's look at 3 points. 1, adaptability. 2, a positive attitude. And 3, a self-sacrificing spirit. Now, if it's our desire to pack our bags and travel, or to go serve in a foreign language congregation, we're going to need to be adaptable. We're going to face changes in the culture that we're surrounded by, maybe learning a new language, the friends we're going to make, the territory, and then there's our personal preferences that we have to put aside. But for many of us, moving or doing something like that, it's not an option. So how could we display the missionary spirit here in Whispering Pines? Well, maybe we could try embarking in a new form of our ministry. We have cart witnessing available, we have public witnessing, and maybe we could try working with someone we've never worked with before, which would involve adaptability in our personality, stepping out of our comfort zone. And what about the upcoming time change of our meeting in January? Could we express adaptability and flexibility in maybe going out in service after the meeting? Well, having a positive attitude will help us to be zealous and enthusiastic for the ministry, whether it's in a foreign land or here locally, which is pretty challenging sometimes because our territory is tiny. So maybe we could try focusing on the opportunities in our territory rather than the size, so that we'll be able to zealously carry out our preaching assignment. Let's look at a positive sentiment expressed by Isaiah at Isaiah chapter 6, verse 8. That's Isaiah 6, 8. It says, "Then I heard the voice of Jehovah saying, 'Whom shall I send? And who will go for us?' And I said, 'Here I am, send me.'" So when we're handed a talk assignment, or it's our group's turn to do the hall cleaning, do we have a begrudging spirit? Or can we emulate Isaiah's enthusiasm, his sentiment, his positive sentiment, by willingly embarking in those activities and carrying them out with enthusiasm? Well, whether we move to where there's a particular need or learn a new language, it's not guaranteed that it's going to be easy or that our circumstances are going to fit perfectly. But we need the spirit of self-sacrifice to demonstrate our love for Jehovah and our love for our neighbors. By calculating the costs and giving of ourselves freely, we'd be filling a real need. I know personally, as a young person, my most valuable resource is my time. So I would say to myself, I need to set aside time for personal study, studying for the meeting, my Bible reading, preparing for field service, whether it's door-to-door or return visits, and talking to those in the congregation, besides my own group of friends. And whether we're older, younger, brothers or sisters, in addition to showing a missionary spirit right here in Whispering Pines, there's other areas in which we can help our congregation, such as becoming a strengthening aid. Now, in order to become a strengthening aid, we first have to know our brothers and sisters well enough to know where they need the strength. So we're encouraged at Hebrews chapter 10, verse 24, to consider one another when we meet together, like we're meeting together right now. So as brothers and sisters, and young ones especially, we can consider or think about those we see in the congregation tonight, those we know may have recently lost a loved one, those who have an unbelieving mate, those who are up in age, haven't been to the meeting in a while, those with ailing health, And we can ask ourselves, how can I be a strengthening aid to that brother or sister? Can we go up and say hi, carry on a conversation, ask how they're doing? Can we offer to do some work around the house, go out in service with them, or maybe run errands for them? I have an experience here about a brother named Salvatore. It says, when he experienced a financial crisis that made it necessary for him to sell his business, his home, and many of the family's belongings, he wondered how his family could cope. Another family in the congregation saw the need. They provided financial assistance, helped both Salvatore and his wife to find work, and spent many evenings listening to and encouraging the whole family. A friendship was forged that has lasted many years. Despite the real anxiety that marked the earlier period, both families can now look back with happy memories on the time they spent together. So, whether we're in the position to move or not, we can do our best to show a missionary spirit here in our local congregation with our present circumstances and current territory, and be a strengthening aid to our brothers and sisters.